Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and I am dressed for the occasion. Yes, indeed, we're talking about more Fallout, and it got me thinking how crazy it is that this series keeps entering the news cycle. You know, when you think about it compared to last year and the year before, it's either bad Fallout news or no Fallout news. The fact that it's been consistently in the conversation these especially past number of months has been a lot of fun. I love this franchise so much. I love talking about it and sharing it with all of you. There's very few series I feel that way about. The only other one I can think of right now is probably Star Wars, and I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. So just thank you for sharing the love of this series with me. And again, a big thank you to everyone for 500K subscribers and a lot of the kind words I saw shared on social media and in the comments of that video. I mean, it was really heartwarming. Today, we gathered to talk again about Bethesda. Yes, indeed, we're talking more Fallout as we got our first look at the Fallout TV show. And with this first look, we have some brand new details to dive deep into. Secondly, we're going to talk about Redfall. I know this isn't the hottest game on the Bethesda portfolio. It seems like out of everything they're trying to market, this one is struggling the most, but that seems to be quite fitting for Arcane, where they make these cool looking games that just cannot be marketed. However, Redfall is one that hasn't really on paper clicked with me, but this latest trailer has moved something within me. We're going to talk about what exactly that is. Last and absolutely not least, we're going to talk about Ferret Baudoin. Ferret Baudoin was a senior designer at Bethesda Game Studios, and he did pass away this week, working on Fallout 4, 76, and Starfield. And the media has failed Ferret in one particular manner. I'm going to talk about that today because in one instance, something distasteful happened, and I do want to call it out and hold the media accountable because I don't like what I see here, and the fact that it hasn't been corrected is really upsetting to me because it shows that there is a true moral conflict in the media between farming clicks and just honoring someone who's very talented, who worked on series that we all care about and has passed away. And if you can say anything about Bethesda, it's that that team is family. So we'll get a lot more into that as we wrap up the video. But let's begin with Fallout's TV show. It's in production with Amazon. I know a lot of people are worried about this one. I'm right there with you. Some folks are even more concerned now after Rings of Power. I have yet to watch it. I've heard some good things. I've heard some bad things, but I don't know if I'll ever get around to it. The only reason I would want to get into it is strictly because I want to know how Fallout may fare. What can I expect in the Fallout universe? And certainly as the episodes roll out, your boy will sit down, make videos about it, fret not. But for now, we have our first look at Fallout, and it's right here. And as you can see, there's members of Vault 33 watching someone enter said vault. And if you look very closely, there seems to be a dead body at the front of the vault there, given the legs just poking out. Now, why is this screenshot significant? I know what you're thinking, Matty, you've gone off the deep end, and possibly yes, but the vault number actually tells you way more about this show than anything else we've received thus far, because we were using filming locations as a possible gauge on where we may see this show set. We've heard about things being filmed out in the West Coast. We've heard about things being filmed in Long Island. Where exactly is this show set? The vault suit number, as many of you Fallout aficionados know, will tell us quite a bit here. But for those who are new and don't know much about the Fallout lore, I'm going to walk you through it. So let's begin with Fallout 1. Yes, the very old Fallout 1. We're going to comb through all of the vaults in the Fallout series. So just pay attention to the numbers here. The context of what these vaults are really doesn't matter in this instance. We have in Fallout 1, Vault 12, Vault 13, and Vault 15, as well as the LA Vault. Then in Fallout 2, you have Vault 8, Vault 13, and Vault 15, as well as Vault City, which I do think is one of the coolest locations in the entire series, but I digress. Fallout New Vegas, one that more of you are probably familiar with. Vault 3, Vault 11, Vault 19, Vault 21, Vault 22, Vault 34, and the Securitron Vault. Now, what you need to keep in mind here is that Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas are all set on the West Coast. To give additional context, let's move to the East Coast. And as I'm moving my hands this way, I'm realizing it's probably in reverse for you all, so just pretend I'm putting it in the right spot on the map. Anyway, continuing on. Fallout 3. The vaults in that game are Vault 87, 92, 101, famously, 106, 108, 112, and there is one as a display in the Museum of Technology. Then in Fallout 4, you have 75, 81, 88, 95, 111, 114, 118, and then a display vault at Nuka World to advertise said vaults. Last and possibly least, Fallout 76. You have vaults 51, 63, 76, 79, 94, 96, a university, and of course the White Springs bunker, which doesn't have a number either. Okay, Maddie, so you just spit a bunch of numbers at us. What's the matter with you? What's going on? Okay, notice how all of the East Coast vaults are the higher numbered vaults, right? Like 50 plus is a pretty safe threshold to place on the East Coast vaults. That being games set in West Virginia, Washington, D.C., as well as Boston, Massachusetts, right? You can see there, based off the settings and the vault numbers, that those two correspond. Then you go to the West Coast again, where you have Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas set. And you'll notice that everything there is about 35 and below. So seeing Vault 33 here in this screenshot actually does indicate to us, and while it is just speculation, and I would not be surprised if a TV show based off a video game franchise just said, what lore? Why does that matter? But if we're going to keep things consistent here, and if Bethesda Game Studios is truly executive producing this series, then likely Vault 33 does tell us that this show will be set on the West Coast. That does mean we'll get a more traditional Fallout story here. You got to remember, for a lot of folks, this is going to be their first introduction to Fallout. And I know 76 is the earliest in the timeline that we have right now, and it is the one that technically is beginner friendly. But Fallout 1 is really the one that truly started it all on the West Coast. And the East Coast wasn't adopted until Bethesda Game Studios stepped in with Fallout 3. So that's just a really long way of showcasing to you all that I believe this show will be set on the West Coast. If there's any other additional information I could take away from this quick screen grab, it's that whoever is entering this vault, they are not leaving. They are coming in because they are facing the vault, and someone is dead. So I imagine they actually entered the vault, killed someone, and these people within Vault 33 are potentially trapped in there. We all know that these vaults are social experiments by Vault Tech, and people are in there for a long time until it was technically safe through the GEC to leave the vaults and go out into the wasteland. So someone has found their vault and opened it from the outside, which is an interesting perspective as well. I'm keen to see how it unfolds. In one sense, morbid curiosity, but in another sense, with actual excitement, because something will be happening with the franchise, and that sounds great to me. But there is new information on Fallout, and there you have it. I'm curious to see your thoughts, so do fire away down below. Now let's talk about Redfall. This is coming from Arcane Studios. It was supposed to be out this year, and man, oh man, do I think that October would have been a great fit for this game after seeing this trailer. This trailer was spooky. It had all the creepy vibes, and I was about that. Honestly, when I saw Redfall for the first time in gameplay, to me personally, it looked like Arcane was dumbing things down and trying to become more accessible to a broader audience. And I understand why they do that. Their games have been insanely creative and have struggled to be marketed and sold to various audiences that they've tried to target. So I completely understand the approach here, but for me, as someone who liked the more immersive sim approach that they've had in the past, I wasn't really in love with what I saw with Redfall. What I like about this trailer, though, is there seems to be an atmosphere, a creepiness to the actual world there, and I like that. I like that it feels like there's a particular tone for this game, because what it's been marketed as for a while now is wild, zany, open world co-op action. One thing I loved about the Arcane games is how meticulously designed they are, how slow they can be. And I know slow typically isn't a compliment, but I mean slow in the sense of prowling the rooftops in Dishonored and picking out my next target and how I'm going to explore the area. And when you combine that with atmosphere and danger, it seems like here in Redfall, yeah, this looks pretty great to me. What I will throw out there, though, additionally, and I think more importantly for the Xbox community, is we got to be getting a Redfall release date soon. If this is coming out early 2023, and based off the way that the release dates were structured and what we had heard about the game, it seems like Redfall will go first. And I imagine if it's going to go first, they should probably announce it soon. We've seen a lot of this game. We've heard a lot about this game, and it's very different from, say, what we've seen and heard about with Starfield. With Starfield, we got one big gameplay drop. We've gotten these quick little interviews, these quick little blurbs about what's going on with Starfield. This is all just brief stuff. Whereas with Arcane and Redfall, they've been doing some serious deep dives with the game, long form interviews, lots of trailers. This is yet another one where Arcane has a very different approach to marketing. I think we're learning based off this and Deathloop, so I could totally be overanalyzing it. But the way I look at it is they may be doing Deathloop again here, which is here's another trailer of Redfall. Please don't forget about us. Here's another trailer. Here's another trailer. But to me, from the outside looking in, I feel like this just screams to me a game that is going to be ready to have a release date soon if we're going to keep seeing it. Because us enthusiasts know the tried and true tale throughout the entire industry, which is when you're quiet and you don't have something to show, you try to be as quiet as a church mouse. But when you're ready to show things and things are feeling good in the studio and you're prepared to market this game, you show it off as much as possible. And I feel like we haven't really slowed down at all with Redfall since we saw it this last summer. So I personally feel like this has to be ready for a release date soon. At least that's my read of the situation, but it 100% could be a Deathloop situation where they're just holding back and marketing it a ton so you get sick of hearing of it and you eventually just go, give it to me. I just want to play the game at this point in time. And I'm getting there, but I have to say this trailer did start to win me over a little bit, which is very different from my thoughts originally on the game. It's all about tone and atmosphere here, and I'm for that. Doesn't mean that the co-op action is going to be bad, but I like that this game may have an identity in its world. We'll see if that's truly explored when the game comes out, whenever that may be. Last, and again, certainly not least, we're going to talk about Ferret Baudoin, who recently passed away, again, senior designer at Bethesda Game Studios, working on Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and lastly, Starfield. So there was a media outlet by the name of Gamebyte who shared this post you're seeing on screen here. It says, Fallout 76 fans pay tribute to Eric Ferret Baudoin. Bethesda senior designer Ferret Baudoin has suddenly passed away, as announced by a touching tribute on Facebook. Now, you may look at this and go, what's the big deal here? Well, the gentleman in the photo is a friend of mine who was a long-term Bethesda Game Studios employee that has now left and made his own team. That's Jeff Gardner. Jeff Gardner did not pass away. Ferret Baudoin is the one who passed away, and even Jeff had posted in the replies here to please take the tweet down and redo it. And at that point, you got to respect their wishes, let alone the disrespect you're doing to Ferret. Now, I'm of the mindset, shit happens, mistakes happen. That's okay if this was a hiccup, like someone in the communication cycle went, oh, I thought that was Ferret. That stuff does happen, but this has been up for an exceedingly long period of time. It's now officially in bad taste. It has been in bad taste since day one, but I'm always about like, okay, did you make a mistake? Can we correct this? Can we do the right thing here? But despite fans getting the reply saying like, yo, this is wrong, change it. And they continue to tweet and they continue to ignore it as they constantly get ratioed is really frustrating because it's distracting from what was a beautiful tribute by Jeff Gardner, where he wrote on his Twitter account, I'm crushed right now. Ferret Baudoin took over as lead designer for Fallout 76 on Wastelanders, which I think is the best content personally for Fallout 76. An eternal optimist and a dear friend. We had lunch several times since I departed. He will be dearly missed. We text about any and all RPGs we were playing. He's the only person I know that plays more of them than Emil Pagliarulo and I. He completed 4 runs in the most recent Pathfinder RPG alone, which is a fantastic game, by the way. During his 10-year stint, though, at Bethesda Game Studios, he did work on, again, Fallout 4, 76, and Starfield. So what I'm hoping for here is Bethesda does put a tribute in the game to Ferret. I imagine they will. They've always done that in good taste when even some of their biggest fans have passed away. I always throw it back to Nuka World. When Nuka World had come out, one of Bethesda's biggest fans had passed away, and they actually put them as a part of a side quest and a character you can meet. And it was really sad, but it was really touching. Bethesda's always done right by that. They've always shown class, and I imagine they will have a tribute to Ferret within this game to immortalize him. It's the same thing like what we asked with Shirley Curry. I mean, I always commend Bethesda for that. They do seem to care on that level. I know, obviously, pessimists will say, oh, it's a big PR win for them. Yes, there is truth to that, but they do seem to care. And I think that's what we need to really focus on here. But the reason I bring this up is not only to commemorate Ferret and his work in Bethesda Game Studios, but Bethesda Game Studios is a family. We can critique them all day, but the folks that work there have worked there for an exceedingly long time. It's why when Jeff Gardner had left, it was a significant thing. Like, that is someone who was there for 10, 15 years. That is very uncommon in the video games industry, but Bethesda Game Studios, this staff has stuck around for a while. Todd Howard, 20 plus years. Pete Hines, 20 plus years. The list goes on. People have been there for at least a decade plus. It's becoming a little more common that new blood is flowing into there, but what's also equally as common is people are there for the long term, for the long haul. And Ferret was one of those people. So they lost a family member here. And my best wishes to Ferret's family, as well as Bethesda Game Studios. It's incredibly sad to see such a talented person go, and someone who really cared about the Bethesda properties. But also, Gamebyte, for the love of God, delete the tweet, do the right thing, get your information straight. That's it. So that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. And with that, let me know your thoughts on all we've talked about in this video in the comments down below. Please do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.